To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. JRPositiveSarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast for entertainment purposes only. Yeah, I'm wearing blue ripped pants with a fucking plaid jacket, so what about it? For entertainment purposes only, like, subscribe, share, donate, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. Find me on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. Hit me at my website, positivesarcasm.com, if you want to contact me there, or you can email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. Check out the YouTube and Rumble version of the video podcast. And of course, you can find it anywhere where podcasts are downloadable and streamable, including Substack, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and of course, downloadable and streamable as well from my website, positivesarcasm.com/podcasts. Let's see, I have 2 items in the docket for today, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here because I'm literally going to be getting on a plane in about 2 days. And then I'll be back next week, possibly for another podcast. It's been difficult recording lately, mostly because of just like these whole health scares, which are starting to come from. Like, yeah, I have. If you haven't been keeping up, I've had some health issues, but they weren't really that bad to begin with. Well, first off, we started up with around February with the whole heart concern thing. But as I have learned more and more, it ended up just being completely stress. It was all stress-related, stress and lack of sleep. The stress was leading to my mind was constantly running 24/7, so going to sleep was difficult. And when you can't sleep, that's when your whole body falls apart. That's when your heart rhythm starts to fall apart. Nutrition and diet and supplementation obviously has something to do with it, as well as, fitness overall, like working out, cardio, weightlifting, things like that. But ultimately, it was all stress. And starting this, after this basically scare, this warning of, hey, you need to change some things in your life. Because, me, guys, I know what I eat, and I know what I need to do to take care of myself. And these are things that should reflect upon you. This was my warning to myself. This was like, life, God, whatever, sending me a warning going, hey, I understand you're an avid workaholic. You're very time oriented. You're very efficient, and that's great. That's good. That's good. You need to chill out. My biggest problem is because I always feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm behind by 10, 15 years of my life. It's like, in my opinion, you can fuck around until you're at least 25, 30, and then you need to stop and you need to invest and take care of yourself and health-wise and all that stuff. I mean, but for me, I feel like I'm behind. So I'm always feel like when somebody's walking, I should be jogging. When somebody's jogging, I should be running. That's how I feel. That's how I mentally. So if I don't get everything done during the day, or if there's something that I can't control, even though I'm trying to control it, I keep sleep during the night. And these are things that I just can't. I can't do that anymore. If it's beyond my control, or if it's something I can't do anything about at that very moment, I just be like, this is not a problem. This is a thing for tomorrow. Write it down. Move on to the next thing. That's it, just what you have to do. And I feel like I just lost track of that. My brain was just running away with itself to the point where my heart was beating out of my chest. But now it's a matter of just like this, everything had to stop. And I talked to the people that I needed to talk to, and it's like, yes, this is stress related. And and I was obviously on the right path with the blood donation, with the new supplementation, with the food diet, the new food things I was doing, and focusing on sleep and making sure that I was taking the right things to help me get as much rest, not sleep, but rest and recovery and relaxation during the day, and changing my pace and doing things that are ultimately like black and white constructive. There are things you can do during the day where if you do a lot of effort into something, it may not turn out the way you want it to, but the black and white things. If I'm going to go outside and mow the lawn, the grass is going to be shorter. If I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go there and get a good workout. If I'm going to the store, I'm going to get my money. I'm going to do things. I don't know if that sounds foreign to you. Believe me, if you're sitting in my position, which a lot of people do, who are just stressing over this, that, and the other thing, you will start to think about that, and you'll think about it to the point of overthinking. And it's like, well, okay, I'm stressing out about things way too much. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this, and this instead. And then you start stressing about those things, instead of those things that caused you the stress to begin with, and you're just ultimately filling the void with the same shit that will end up causing you the same problems down the road. And it can be from a lot of things. It can be just ultimately from staring at your phone too long, going through rabbit holes, and you're just getting that constant endorphin rush 24/7, or whatever that hormone is from looking at like social media and things like that, and rage bait and clickbait and all this other stuff. Instead of just like staring at trees and eating an apple. These are the things that were my biggest concern. And it's like, okay, let's cut all this out, or cut it in half, and then cut it in half even more. All right, do a little consumer therapy, little shopping therapy. Take a break. Try some cardio out. Donate blood. Well, I don't donate blood. I donate blood for gift cards. If you can, here's the thing: is I know you shouldn't just donate blood. If you go out and donate blood, you know that you can. Every time you do it, you get like the American Red Cross will give you like options for gift cards and things like that, right? And there's a lot of good. Like I used the last 3. They gave me like points, which gave me a gift card, and they gave me 2 other, access to gift cards, and I turned them into a MasterCard and helped pay for the electric. It's not something. It's something at the end of the day. I even bought, car parts. I mean, I turned some of them into eBay gift cards. So, donating blood is another thing. Number 1, it reduces blood clots. Number 2, it helps with, it helps somebody else. It could potentially save somebody's life. But ultimately, thinning your blood out, it is actually a good way to relax the body, because first of all, you just burned like 400 or 500 calories. According to statistics, donating blood is the same thing as walking on a treadmill for like an hour. It's like, because your body has to generate more blood now. It can be tiring. It can be very tiring. So you got to be careful with that. But ultimately, it is helpful, and financially, there is some incentive to do it, to just give blood. It's not like you're supporting terrorism or anything like that. Don't be too conspiratorial. It's like there are people out there that truly need blood to the point where your donation can help. So these were things that it was, yeah, cool. I was donating blood first for health reasons, because I was concerned about blood clots and things like that. But it was also for a way for me to get health information from about my body, like what was my heart rate at, and that stuff. And they post that stuff online. So I was doing that, and I saw good things coming out of it. So it was just another piece of the puzzle to help me lead to recovery of this overall stress-inducing situation that I was in. Cutting coffee. This is my 4th or 5th cup of coffee, like over the past several weeks. But it's changed my outlook on coffee. Now I don't drink coffee in the morning. Like I don't at all. It's now I'm definitely on the tea bandwagon, the herbal tea, zero stimulant bandwagon in the mornings. I'll have maybe a coffee like twice a week now, because I was more focused on dilation, vasodilation, whereas this is a vasoconstriction, and I wanted open veins. I want my blood flowing left to right, and taking a lot of nitric oxide boosters. But all these things combined helped me lead down this path. Within 2 months, my heart rate reduced dramatically. My episodes at night fell off a cliff, and energy levels returned. Relaxation benefited. Just felt more like I can do more things now with less stress. So there was that. Now I've taken care of that issue. I'm almost there. But then on top of that, all of a sudden, like a week ago, I get this severe tooth pain because I got this one little snaggle tooth here on the side of my face. I've never had braces before. I've never had a tooth taken out. I've never had a root canal. I've never had one doctor said I had a cavity, and then all of a sudden everybody else was like, no, you're great, you're fine, don't even worry about it. I've had nothing metastasize into anything crucial when it comes to my teeth. This one is because I'd lost some enamel. There was some trauma to it, I think, at one time. But ultimately, I was recommended to a paleontologist. Is it a paleontologist? No. I can't remember the name of the doctor. But it's like an oral dude. It's like an enhanced oral dude. But ultimately, he looked at it. He gave it a good scrape. He numbed me up, scraped the inside of it, because apparently he can reach in there with his little needle, and it's like, okay, I can do 2 millimeters on this side, 2 millimeters on this side, but all the way right here, I can do like 6 to 8 millimeters. I can get really far up there, and that's not good, and that's due to some enamel loss. So he's like, there's probably some tartar and buildup up there. So he just gave it a solid like scrape, and he's like, you're good. Your tooth is, it's got a little more play in it, but ultimately you're gonna have this tooth for many, many years. He's like, Go get go get a cleaning once a year so they can scrape it. They can even put like a layer in there and hit it with the light, and it'll put some new enamel on there, and you'll be good. And I'm like, oh, this is all good news. So he gave me like a free cleaning. Although the X-rays cost me like almost $300, but like I'm shelling out money to go to see a doctor next week, and I'm gonna tell him, hey, I'm great. I actually don't need you. Fuck off. As long as he unless he sees something out of whack right then and there, I'm not going for a stress test, because I've been doing cardio like every single week for like 2 months straight, and I haven't had any episodes. I've been blowing through an hour on the stair climber like nobody's business. So I'm fine there. So as long as he doesn't have any issues, I'm done with this health scare. This taught me a valuable lesson, but now we're at this point where like, okay, I know the issues in front of me. I have the information I need. I'm good. But this was like a major critical thing that ultimately everything that I did suffered because of the stress. Like the podcast really went downhill because it was hard to really be stimulated and energized and gather the information in my head because I was too busy thinking about other things. I didn't get enough sleep, and yeah, it suffered greatly. I wasn't able to put out clips and things like that. I wasn't able to do anything on a routine basis, and we still suffer from that right now. But I think ultimately, as I go on, like get a whole week off, do a few more weeks, I'm gonna really focus on just taking care of myself so I can build this energy back up to wanting to do these things. They're the responsibilities that I have to this, the website, the podcast, and all the other things that I'm doing, and making life more of a relaxed adventure instead of a minute by minute, stress adventure. So these are some of the things I'm working on. Like I've already ordered some concert tickets. I'm going to see a group in May. I'm going to see another group, I think, in June or July. I'm working on another scene, and and I'm being mindful. I'm doing like yard work, and obviously summertime's coming up in the state that I'm in, and that's the heat, the warmth. It's going to be more relaxing, and just doing these things, ultimately, just to my benefit. Like I cut out all the stress. Like if there was family issues, I wanted nothing to do with it. If there was anything that was stressful, that's like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm taking it off my plate. It's not my problem. You realize how less important some things are once you cut them out of your life. You can cut so many things out of your life just like at a moment's notice and realize, oh, that was killing me. That was killing me. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, it was just killing me. And it's just, that's enough. That's enough. We're done here. Like, I need to take care of my lower back. I need to take care of my brain. I need to take care of my heart. I need to take care of my time. I need to take care of my rest. I need to take care of the people that are in front of me. And everything else can piss right off. Because I got vacation coming up. I got more vacations than I'm planning. I've got more projects that I want to get focused on. I got a wedding to plan for. I've got all of 2027. I've got investments to do. I've got things to pay down. And ultimately, I just want to enjoy my time. And that's what I'm going to do. I was talking to this lady at Home Depot today. And she's like, I want to go part-time. I want to go spend some time on the beach and things like that. I'm like, this is the kind of thinking I like. I mean, just the fact that she can do that, I'm like, good for her. She's like, I don't want to. But she also said, I don't want to fully retire because I'll go crazy. That's a good point. Because people are inherently need something to do. If they don't have any projects or goals or things they want to accomplish, they need something to do. They want to accomplish something, even if it's just going to work like a few times a week. They need something to do. This is the truth. And I'm trying to establish like a new routine for myself as far as how I communicate with people. And I'm generally very grateful. I do want to talk about people, if you want to call them that, a little bit, maybe to close up shop here before I focus on other things. But like I said, I was buying tickets. Like I'm buying tickets to shows, and we all know if you're buying tickets, you're generally going through Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is humongous, but Ticketmaster is not an independent company. It's owned by Live Nation. Live Nation is like the biggest venue holder in the like they buy the vendors. I've talked about this in the past, but it's now really causing problems here. It's been identified by a court where they can buy the artists. They bought the ticket venue, so they bought They bought Ticketmaster. They own Ticketmaster. So they have say over anything that Ticketmaster does. Now, then they buy the venues. So if you want to, they buy the venue. It's like, okay, you're going to buy the venue. I own this venue. If you want to get tickets here, or if you want to get tickets here, you got to go through Ticketmaster. That's it. Period. Point blank. And then on top of that, if somebody wants to go, like if Chris Stapleton wants to do a show there or something, I'm just the first name that popped in my head. I don't listen to Chris Stapleton, not because I don't have anything against him. I'm just that was the first name that popped into my head. No idea why. There you go. Don't judge me for it. I really don't listen to country, and I have nothing against country. Like I said, I'm just saying it's a name that popped in my head, so we're going with it. But it's like, okay, well, if you want to perform at this venue, your tickets have to be sold through Ticketmaster. You've got to have our security and this, that, and the other thing. And it's essentially like organized crime. It's fucking robbery. It's a mob. But they own the venue, so they decide who can come in, who can't come in, what agency are they signed with. If you're signed with this agency, we can't come here. It's restrictive. So. And also, Ticketmaster is known for its ridiculous fees. Also known for its ridiculous fees. Like, you think a ticket's like $40. Oh, okay, well, it just went up like $15, $20. It's like, why am I paying a fucking 30 to 40% premium to buy these tickets through here? Where the processing fee is so goddamn automated at this point. It's like it's just an administration fee, a processing fee. It's asinine. Absolutely asinine. And I saw at the point where low ticket sales, like I think there was some I think it was like Jelly Roll. Like I said, nothing against Jelly Roll, but Jelly Roll was touring with somebody else and they had low ticket sales, like because they're doing like large venues which are owned by obviously the tickets are through Ticketmaster, Live Nation. So you have two large companies with lots of processing fees, these ridiculously overpriced tickets people can't afford right now to go to these concerts, or they're just not interested. They're so disinterested. With no disrespect to the artists make music and they want to tour, because that's one of the only ways to really make money now is through touring. Because, I mean, no disrespect to Spotify or Pandora, but they're no different. I mean, as far as monetarily, they're no different than the music publishing companies like Columbia and Sony and whatever of the early 90s and early 2000s, of the 90s and 2000s. They're no different. They pay pennies on the dollar to the actual artists. So the only true way to make really any money is through, like, your online platform and through touring. That's it. So, and the ticket prices have gotten so high, and the ability for artists to tour, it's gotten so expensive for them to tour. I think the band Garbage, great band, by the way, from the early 90s, they have songs, Only Happy When It Rains, Stupid Girl, great alternative pop rock band from the 90s. I forget her name. I think it's... I don't remember her name, but sweet, lovely person. But great band. They don't think they can tour in the United States anymore because they're obviously from overseas. They can't tour in the US anymore because it's too goddamn expensive to put a touring package together to get over here and do it. So if you're just breaking even, there's no point in going. So we're losing the ability to see some of these bands that are coming from overseas, and there's a lot of great bands that are making, but some of them don't have a choice. They need to open up and come into these markets in order to, like, get more exposure. Like, I would love to see Rise of the North Star, French metalcore band, new metalcore band, I would call them, come over here and tour. But the only places they're going right now is like Brazil, but mostly their tours are just being stuck to like Europe and stuff. That's that for the most part, like Orbit Culture, things, unless they're opening for like an even bigger band that has plenty of money and give them, like, if say you're opening for, like, I don't know, pick a huge band and you get to open for them. Well, you have guaranteed money, guaranteed seats are gonna get like, there's a good contract there for you to be like, all right, this is worth touring for and bringing our bandmates and our guitar techs and all this other stuff over. Absolutely. Like Electric Callboy. Electric Callboy coming all the way over here from Germany again for like the third year in a row. Thank God. I love seeing them in concert. Their venues have gotten a little bit bigger, but at the same time, ticket prices are still very accessible. The band still puts on an excellent show. They don't complain at all. They don't judge or whatever. They're just, we're here to make sure everybody has a good time. We're going to rock out. Cool. But it's like, I don't want to lose the ability for them to come over here and see. But I know there's some other bands. Like, I don't know how Throne is a little Swedish pisscore band that came over here about, I'd say, a year or two ago. And, I mean, they came over here. I don't know how they pulled off a tour in the United States, but they did it. They did it. It was cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Their set was only like 22 minutes long, but it was cool to see them. I want the luxury of seeing those bands. But with the costs of touring going up so high, and then on top of it, people not wanting to go see shows because they quite frankly can't afford them to some degree, breaking even is just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And how, in reality, like how much does a band make? How much does like a band like, I don't know, Butcher Babies make? In reality, are you making like $30,000-$40,000 a year as a band member to go touring like 24/7? There's no time for family or for self or taking time off or whatever. There's no time to do anything else. So you're just grinding. And when you're in your 30s or 40s as a band member and you're only making like, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000 a year, it's like, what do you? I mean, in reality, I'm serious. In reality, it's much harder, and it's a lot less worth it to do it. It really takes like the want out of touring. Don't get me. I'm sure they love making music and things like that, but it's one of the reasons that one of the band members from Butcher Babies left. It's like, it's just not worth it to me anymore to be making next to nothing when I could be going and doing other projects. I'm sure there's other reasons as well, but it's like you can factor that in for sure. And Ticketmaster, and it's almost like Ticketmaster and Live Nation, they don't give a shit. They're just money hungry because they control all of these venues. They control the distribution of ticket sales, and it's coming to a point where you're a monopoly, and also people are not going to shows, which is going to cost you money. So the question is, the venue has to make money, the artists have to make money, the people promoting the shows, the roadies, the guitar techs, they all have to make money. The band members have to make money, and it's the crazy thing is, it's like if this band is 10 years in, they don't know how to do anything else. They are a band. They're a group. They're together. This is all they know. All they know is music. So if all they know is music and touring and things like that, but they're just pushed to the bottom of the barrel by ticketing agencies and big, fucking monopolized organizations like Live Nation, then all we're gonna get is bubblegum pop bullshit. We're not gonna get that Gary Clark Jr. or Suzanne Santos or the Elevators or the Dirty Heads and anything like that. We're not going to see these interesting bands that we love listening to on our streams. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I understand that they don't make any money from Pandora, really ain't making any money, but that's why I go and support them in concert. It's like, I want to see you guys because you do a really good job. So they get my money. They deserve my money. But here's the thing: is I love Metallica. I like Tool. I'm not paying the money to go see them in concert because it's ridiculously expensive to go see them. Like, if you're a fan of Taylor Swift, okay, fine, you're a fan of Taylor Swift, you like their music. Why the fuck would you go out and spend that much money, hundreds if not thousands of dollars, to go see her in a venue? Is it really truly an experience? Is it really worth it? Maybe for you it is, but for that amount of money, I cannot see the value in doing it. And I wouldn't say it's her fault. Like, I wouldn't blame Taylor Swift for charging, I don't know, however much money for tickets. It's not really her. It's not her doing it. You can't blame her for it. You've got to blame that venue. If she could sell out an entire arena for like I don't know, between $40 and $80 a ticket, and she makes plenty of money, she'd do it. She would absolutely do it. But there's so many other factors at play due to inflation and low demand and this monopoly that's been going on with Ticketmaster and Live Nation. And it finally came to a head with, according to Top Class Action, it's a great website, by the way, topclassactions.com. They talk all about class action lawsuits and some that you can get in on because, quite frankly, you've been bullshitted an awful lot more than you realize. And this website is really good at helping consumers understand that, if there was a data breach or if you got screwed over with overtime pay or if there's a, something you bought that has like arsenic in it or something. I don't know. This is a great website to really help give you an idea of what you have, what is out there as far as reality. But according to this, it's jury finds Live Nation monopolized concert ticketing, harmed competition. Once again, Live Nation is absolutely a monopoly. You have to be large enough where, now don't get me wrong, there are some places they're not Live Nation venues. They never will be Live Nation venues. They will do their own ticketing or they'll go through like Ticketfly or some other vendor. They don't have to bow to Live Nation. They don't have to. So they'll go and get like smaller. There's a lot of artists out there. Great artists that are not signed by large agencies or what have you. So these people can come in, put on a good show for decent prices. We're talking under $50 a ticket. And you can go and see these and see who you want and still support them. I know that, and on top of that, even though Ticketmaster is the main place right now where you have to go and buy tickets for many, many venues, at the same time, you don't have to buy through Ticketmaster. You can go and people have bought tickets in bulk and then they sell them on places like StubHub and SeatGeek and I think a couple other places where you can go and find tickets for actually less money. Now, don't get me wrong, there are absolute ticket whores out there. They'll go and buy a shitload of tickets for a concert and then jack up the prices on StubHub or SeatGeek, and that's the only place, unfortunately, especially with artists who sell out rather quickly. They'll go and buy all these tickets and then sell them on a third-party website for, I don't know, 20% more, 30% more, 40% more, in some cases double or triple, and now you're fucked. You have no choice. But for a lot of the bands that I like to see, it's not that way at all. Or not just musicians, but like comedians and things like that, like Shane Gillis or Crystalia or whomever else. And you can go and buy tickets for far less money. I remember demand was so low for the 311 concert, but I don't think it wasn't 311 that the venue was, it was just their opening acts were not that great. Now they're touring, like 311's touring with the Dirty Heads, and I wish they were coming back to the Pavilion. I would absolutely go see them, but they're not coming anywhere even close to New England. So I would love to go see them, but they're touring with a real, like, that's a 1-2 punch of like bands that really do, like, that's cohesion right there. That's a good pairing. That tour would sell. But I mean, they were selling tickets on third parties for like $7 for like the front row. So getting tickets were like super cheap. So you can benefit if you want to see some of your favorite artists or bands that you're curious to go see for not a lot of money. But it's not always like that. Now, like I said, Live Nation bought Ticketmaster. That's a true monopoly right there. This article, basically, it's an antitrust lawsuit, which is basically a monopoly. A group of states and Washington, D.C., they bought an antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation Entertainment and Ticketmaster. Why? Plaintiffs claim Live Nation monopolized concert ticketing and forced anti-competitive practices that led to higher ticket prices. Because obviously, if they're the only game in town, they can charge whatever they want. It's like if you're the only one in the state that sells milk or sells beef, you can charge whatever you want because you have a monopoly on something that is in demand. Like if, for example, Ford was the only motor company left in the United States, then it's like, well, we're the only ones who sells new cars. We're going to charge whatever we want. That wall always comes crumbling down. Where the case was tried in a New York federal court. Whether this will be upheld by higher Supreme Courts if Live Nation appeals remains to be seen. But ultimately, I believe in my heart, monopolies should always be challenged and broken down because I think it's anti-competitive. I think it's anti-American. I think it's anti-Western. I think ultimately you're not allowing people to choose. If you take away people's right to choice, that is monopoly. That is something I am not a fan of. So a federal jury found that Live Nation and its Ticketmaster subsidiary unlawfully monopolized concert ticketing markets, harming competition and potentially overcharging consumers. The lawsuit was brought by dozens of states and the District of Columbia, which all jointly alleged Live Nation used its control over multiple parts of the live entertainment industry, including ticketing, promotion, and venue operations to suppress competition. According to the claims made in the lawsuit, Live Nation acquired a monopoly power in ticketing services for major concert venues and events and engaged in exclusionary conduct that, you can tell a lawyer wrote this, created an anti-competitive effects in the market. The jurors also found that Live Nation unlawfully tied artists' ability to perform at large amphitheaters to use of its promotional services, further reinforcing its dominance in the industry. So this lawsuit claims these practices limited competition and led to higher prices for consumers purchasing concert tickets. Live Nation allegedly tied... Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to go see a concert, but it is cool to go see experiences. But ultimately, if you want to experience something and you're charged a fortune for it, it's just very discouraging. Plaintiffs argued Live Nation leveraged its ownership of Ticketmaster to require venues and artists to use its services. It's like the mob. That's the mob. You got to use, if you're going to do a show here, you got to use our people. That's how it works. The jurors found that Live Nation's conduct, violated multiple state antitrust lawsuits and caused harm across 33 states and Washington, D.C. Jurors determined that the consumers in certain jurisdictions were overcharged by approximately $1.72 per ticket. Honestly, if the actual fees were $1.72, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. But the thing is the fees are not $1.72. That's just the overall. The fees are like $10, $15, $20. Or if the tickets are even higher, the processing fees are even higher. It's like, oh, you just paid $100 for this meal? Well, now we're going to charge you 20%. You don't need to tip Ticketmaster. They charge just fine. The case, especially with things becoming more automated and more algorithmed, it's almost like what's the process at this point? What are you paying for? The servers? The case seeks remedies that would include structural changes to Live Nation's business, such as forcing the company to divest Ticketmaster or modify its business practices to restore competition. A separate agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice, there we go, that's cool, requires Live Nation to make changes to its ticketing operations, including offering standalone ticketing technology to competitors and limiting certain long-term exclusive agreements with venues. The amount of damages and any additional relief will be determined in future proceedings. So if you go to topclassactions.com, or if you just type in, I'll do it with you. Let's see. We'll just go to Live Nation lawsuit, and you should be able to read up on it yourself. So we click on that. There we go. Right up top. Facing significant legal challenges, antitrust, settled its claims for $280 million, illegally monopolized the live market and overcharging consumers, while the U.S. Department of Justice settled its claims for $280 million in March of 2026, a coalition of 33 states, agreeing to pay $9.9 million to settle allegations of deceptive ticket pricing practices, such as concealing fees until checkout and using pressure tactics. The settlement, announced on April 20th, includes refunds for customers and mandates that Live Nation disclose full ticket prices up front, which is, I don't think that's going to do anything. Well, maybe it'll do something, but I'm a skeptic. Currently, a former executive has filed a $35 million wrongful termination suit alleging he was fired for whistleblowing on corporate misconduct and financial representation within the company. And then, like I said, NPR, Jurify, Live Nation, NBC News, Wikipedia, Office of Attorney General. Yeah, there's a ton of sites reporting on this, and ultimately, it's a two-pronged approach. Number one, you have to have low demand, because if it's like, let's just say there's a venue, there's a bunch of venues and a bunch of artists that they stop buying. If Live Nation has to be able to, if they bought that venue, if you buy a venue, it costs you tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or in some cases billions of dollars to buy that venue. Well, if that venue is not making any money, they're not kicking it up to the big guy, which is obviously Live Nation. That means Live Nation can't afford to have that venue anymore, which means they have to sell off the venue. Okay. Which right now commercial real estate is hurting. So that would suck. That would be a huge loss. So ultimately, if you can't sell tickets, Ticketmaster suffers. And if the venue suffers, then Live Nation suffers. That's just how it works. If people just can't afford it, especially right now, if they can't afford to go to the venue, then the venue suffers, Ticketmaster suffers, and Live Nation suffers. And maybe that's how this comes cracking down. That and pressure from the Department of Justice and all these class action lawsuits. Maybe, just maybe, we'll start to see some competition. With competition, we'll breed lower ticket prices, more innovation to how the ticketing system and the venue system works, and maybe a monetary breath of air so that some of these other artists can come in on their own terms with their own people, and ultimately we can see some different acts. That's just my thought. I don't know, but this stuff takes a long time, and right now, with money printing still going on, I'm thinking you're still going to see, prices go up for a lot of things that maybe you wanted to see, but now not so much anymore. So for now, I would just say, why don't you try, if you want to go see a show or an artist, try going to smaller venues. Go to clubs, rooftop bars, just smaller venues in general, and just see some of those bands, some of those groups that you actually really like. I no disrespect to like Taylor Swift or Metallica, but obviously I'm not paying those prices to go see them because honestly, I don't think I'm getting my money's worth. And for me, I'm all about getting my money's worth. Period. I want something. I want something out of this. And quite frankly, I don't want credit card debt just from going to see one show. So we're at 36 minutes. I wanted to finish up with something. I know that there was a huge kerfuffle last night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Some fucking asshole from California ran into the area and went full Naruto through security, and he's lucky he doesn't have 64 bullets in his fucking skull, but obviously went in there to kill somebody. I don't know who, but obviously he ran in there with multiple firearms to obviously do harm. And this shit's got to stop. But ultimately, a lot of the same problems. Obviously, you have a California retard with pronouns in his bio, who's a teacher, who says a lot of crazy shit online, who's obviously been radicalized. And these people are becoming more bold. And obviously, we lost a politician up in, I think, either Michigan or Minnesota, who was assassinated in the early morning. Somebody posed as a cop, knocked on the door, and shot and killed them. You had the death of Charlie Kirk, who was a prominent figure, a prominent conservative Christian figure who was murdered basically in broad daylight, I think in front of his wife and kids. And you've had multiple attempts. The sitting president was shot in the ear. A fire chief was murdered basically on the same day. You have absolute radicals that if they can't get to the top, they're going to get closer to the bottom. And they're going to see anybody, and they're doing this with ICE. Anybody who even looks like an ICE person, like icy, and if you look icy, they come to you and they start poking at you and throwing pictures, and they get aggressive. So here's what I think. I understand that you want to be, a lot of people want to be peaceful and pacifist, and these people that are obviously fucking deranged. There's a lot of fucking deranged people out there right now, and obviously my algorithm in some way is very skewed. But here's the thing: is I don't live in a lot of these psychotic areas, and I avoid this garbage. I avoid it. If I see something that bothers me, like out in public, I avoid it at all costs, because I want to live in an area where I have peace. I do not want to live in an area where there's a lot going on. I don't want anything going on. Nothing. I want to hear birds chirping, bobcats, deer, moose, squirrels frolicking. My dog can rest on the front porch or the back porch in peace. I want peace. I want tranquility. I want to see the sun come up. I want it to appear over the beautiful marsh as the birds fly back and forth and go for a walk without worrying about getting mugged or shot or called a fascist or something. I don't live in those. I don't want to live in those areas. I avoid them at all cost. You get no satisfaction anymore, no enjoyment out of living in an area where the lights are shiny even at 10 o'clock at night. It's not worth it to you anymore. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I see like places like New York City falling apart. Remember, you have constitutional right. Your constitutional rights are first and foremost. Don't ever forget that. But I need you to understand something. These psychos with the fucking purple and green hair and the people that are ICE hunters and these psychos with pronouns in their bio, these people ultimately I don't want to know I don't want to know my neighbors or people that I generally roll with. I don't want to know their political affiliations. I don't want to know their opinions really on much of anything because I don't want to know my own. I don't want to talk about that stuff. I don't care. This is the one place where I can come and talk about that type of shit. But ultimately, I don't do it to the degree that some other people do. And bless them for doing that. That's fine. If they want to go like that, that's fine. It's their right to have their lane and their audience and talk how they want. But you're not going to see me. I'm totally fine with hanging out with boomers and stuff like that. Well, rural boomers, we've had that conversation. But ultimately, you're not going to see me sharing a beer with Hassan Piker or anything like that, or Destiny or whatever. I think these people are fucking completely. They're disillusioned or deranged, and they have their own following, which is obviously pushing them a little bit more extreme. I don't want to be extreme. I just want to sit here and just chill out and drink coffee and pet my dog and enjoy my time. But there's people out there that, quite frankly, they're getting more aggressive with their no kings and the ICE protests and all this other stuff. I talked about that with fucking that crazy bitch who put out who applauded the middle schoolers to take time out from school to go out and fucking protest ICE in the middle of downtown Portsmouth. It's like, you kids should be in fucking school. These people are obviously deranged. They're mentally unwell because they don't have anything else to grip onto. And their whole life is just the algorithm. They need that rage. They need something to put their energy into. And ultimately, they're putting their energy into destruction, not creation. They're not doing anything of value. There's so many people. There's millions of people in this country who do nothing or do wrong. And it has to stop. Now, if you are just a person just trying to get through your fucking day, you need to know your rights. And I'm going to close with this. You need to know your rights. For example, if you're just walking on the sidewalk and somebody tells you can't do something and they're not a fucking cop, you ignore them. If they continue to harass you, they get a warning. You need to understand your rights about defending your life, liberty, and property with due process. Okay? Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a person. I have legal right. Can I be filmed in public? Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely be filmed in public. You're in public streets. People want to stick a camera in your face. It's fine, as long as they're not impeding your rhythm, your day. If they're walking along and saying shit to you, it's fine. You can say shit back to them, as long as you're not provoking them. You cannot incite somebody to do something, because then they are obviously recording you, and it's like whatever. But you can tell somebody to fuck off. You can tell somebody to eat shit and die. You can tell somebody that, that you're fucking retard. You can say that shit. If they're calling you names and stuff like that, you could throw it back at them. All right? But ultimately, if it's not worth it to you, then just don't do it. Ultimately, just don't do it. Just move on with your day. Okay? Road rage solves nothing. Punching in windows, calling people Nazis, calling people fascists, standing on the hood of people's cars, street takeovers. This is all the work of retards. This is all the work of absolute psychos and just nonconformists who, quite frankly, don't have anything better to do. They have no goals. They have no values. These people have no values. Like there's no Christian Judeo values. They don't love thy brother, love thy neighbor. They don't. They're filled with just self-hatred, so it just spews outwards. But you need to know your rights. Okay, number one, if you're in a place where you just every day have to see this shit, you're living in the wrong. Dude, there's so many beautiful places. There's flyover states, there's ocean states, there's countryside. Go move, get the fuck out of there. You don't have to deal with it. But if you're in this environment for now, that you see people getting in your grill and they think you're something you're not, know your rights in the state that you're in, the city that you're in, and defend yourself if absolutely necessary, okay? It is time that people understand that there is consequences to your actions. And if you think that assaulting somebody just because you're maybe a different gender or just because they look a certain way and you think that they are ultimately fascists or they're doing something, ultimately, if you're just walking from this part of the street to another and somebody gets in your way and is impeding your steps, you continue to move forward. The minute they put their hands on you, game over. You immediately need to revert to your constitutional rights. If anybody is trying to deprive you of life, liberty, and the pursuit of your own meaning, and they are physically harming you or threatening to harm you or anything like that, know your constitution, know your local, state, and federal rights, and execute them immediately while giving them a warning. You need to understand that there's a lot of deranged people out there that'll poke at you and things like that, and you need to give them one warning. You give them one warning, and you absolutely use your constitutional rights to the absolute effectiveness. Minimum necessary force. I'll give you a perfect example. Like, say you are driving along on a road, okay, and there's a bunch of protesters. Protesters have to be, first of all, you have to be permitted. Okay, you have the right to a protest. Okay, you have the right to hold up signs. If your sign says death to somebody, that's different. That is incitement of violence. That is not freedom of speech. You belong in fucking jail. On top of that, if they are crossing, like, say you have people standing on the side of the road and they're protesting, cool. You have to make they have the right to protest there. You have the right to walk by them. Okay, as long as you're not inciting something. If you're poking at them, you're asking for something. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in a situation where you could possibly be in the wrong. Move on with your day. But if you're just at an intersection and all of a sudden a bunch of protesters enter a roadway, they're no longer protesters. They are now causing a disruption to the general public's flow of the day. That is an arrestable offense if they do not comply with local law enforcement. All right. If they surround your car, you have the right to move forward. You do not have the right to move forward at 50 miles per hour, but you do have the right to continue forward. If you're sitting at an intersection and the light turns green and there are people standing in front of you, you have the right to creep forward, and you have the right to continue to creep forward because they are now blocking the road. They are now blocking your access to go from point A to point B legally. The car has the right of way, period. Now, if they start damaging your car, you have the right to move forward at a more aggressive pace, but not to the point where it's minimum necessary force. You have to understand that. All right, your livelihood and your property is important, but at the end of the day, it is just a car. It can be fixed, it can be repaired, but ultimately, you do not have the right to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour and kill that now considered rioter, that unlawful disruptor. You do not have the right to do that. All right, but you have the right to move freely at a slow pace and move through these people. Doesn't matter if they're sitting with their hands glued to the sidewalk. Doesn't matter if that might actually be different, but ultimately they're gonna get arrested. Hopefully, I would hope so. But you have the right to move. You have the right to continue on with your day. That all stops though the minute they go for your car. If they're trying to break into your car, that's different. So you have, like, your home is a private space. You are in the privacy of your own vehicle. You're in the privacy of your own home. If you start to creep forward, which you are allowed to do legally in a unlawful protest situation where somebody's blocking the right of the way of the road that you were on, and you start creeping forward at 5 miles per hour and you just keep going, just know, generally you have every right to do that. You have every right to do that. They're blocking the roadway. They're putting themselves in harm's way. That is their own goddamn fault. If they decide they're going to try to open your car door or break through your windows or something like that, that is different. They have now crossed the line from possible threats to imminent threat. They are now an imminent threat because they are trying to break into your private property. And at that point, you can move at a much more reasonable pace to get away from them. Remember, the most average human can run between maybe 10 and 15 miles per hour at the very most if they're really hoofing it. But at the end of the day, they're not going to outmatch your car. But if you have a bunch of people surrounding your car, and in a car situation, if they're surrounding your car, you have every right to immediately remove yourself from a harmful situation at a reasonable pace, and it will hold up in court. You will absolutely hold up in court, and they will be arrested for their crimes because they were ultimately doing damage to your car, creating an imminent threat situation, and putting the lives of yourself and your property at risk. So ultimately, you have the right to move forward. And if they get hurt, fuck them. It's on them. And afterwards, you have every right to go get a property lawyer and file against them. And you have every right to press charges against them. That's if you're in a car. All right? So you continue forward at a reasonable pace to get out of a situation which would obviously do you bodily harm. All right? Perfect example, say I'm in a car, I go to leave, somebody goes to hit my car or something like that, and my dog or my fiance is in the car. That's different. All bets are off. You have every right to intervene. If somebody's going for my car trying to break in, I don't have the right to kill them, but I do have a right to stop them from getting into my vehicle. And if they turn their aggression towards me, game on. Game on. If your fiance or your dog is in the car, then same thing. If they're in the car, knowingly in the car, that is your life, liberty, and property. That is your pursuit of happiness right there. If they're trying to get into that car and those people are still in that car, also, once again, game on. Defense of life, liberty, and property. You have every right to stop them from doing it right there. You have every right at that point legally to put your hands on them and remove them from the situation. You have every right to do so. The minimum necessary force in order to stop them from doing that thing. And if they come after you and they're creating an imminent threat situation, whatever is necessary to stop them in their tracks, okay, by the definition of the law. Please be careful with that. I'm telling you, know your rights, all right? Know your rights in the town, city, state, and federal. Know them well so that you can exercise them at a moment's notice, because I'm seeing this. This is not AI shit. This is not AI shit. This is not stage shit. There's a lot of fucking psychos out there, and plenty of them in the state above me and then in the state below me, and they're absolute fucking maniacs. I have no beef with them. None. I don't bother them. I stay at them. I stay out of their way. You realize I'm doing this miles away from any of them. I don't care about them. I don't get in their way. I don't impede on their life. But I feel like a lot of these people would want to impede on mine. Now, that's in a car situation. If you're just walking along the sidewalk and somebody starts poking at you with a stick or getting in your way, you just continue on with your pace and just be like, get out of my way. Here's my legal rights. I have every right to do this if you proceed further. Some of them don't understand how the situation works. It's a perfect example is I saw a dude who got slapped in a bar by some chick. That's assault, period. Straight up, full-on slap. On camera and everything. He said straight up, I'm pressing charges on you. He told the bouncers to call the police, detain her, have her arrested. And he said he was going to sue her. And guess what? Tides have turned. She got pinned down. She got arrested. Fuck her. You don't let these people get in the way of you. You have every right, depending upon the state you have, to be lawfully carrying, going at your own pace, and enjoying your own life. And if somebody's impeding on that, you have every right to move forward at what you believe, as long as you're defending your life, liberty, and pursuit, and you know your rights of what you can and cannot do. Don't be afraid to enforce that with people who are too fucking stupid or too filled with hate to realize that what they're doing is going to get them seriously hurt with somebody who doesn't give a shit about the law, who doesn't give a shit about their own rights, because there's plenty of people that are far more extreme, who are far more on edge that they're going to fuck with, because they could fuck with me one day. And I mean, quite frankly, I just might look at them and just move on with my day. There are other people that could snap at a moment's notice and take that person out. You know, and here's the thing. Federal officials, local and state officials, they make mistakes too. That's how Renee Good got killed. All right. I'm not going to say that her death was clear cut, but ultimately she put herself in a situation she didn't need to be there, and she ended up dead because of it. And ultimately, part of the blame is on her for being there. She didn't need to be there. She could have been home with her partner and her kid. She chose not to, and now she's dead. So guess what? Just stay fucking home and move on with your life and let people do what's legally right. These people are, they are. And all they want to do, my concern is they are poking and prodding the general public because they see them as a potential threat. They look out of place. They don't look like them, so they're poking and prodding at them and pushing at them and trying to get them to react so they can go after them, trying to find any justifiable reason to go after them. You know, because ultimately it's getting old trying to kill senators and politicians and, you know, political figures and presidents. Unfortunately, it's getting a little too boring. So now you got to go after the public that looks like they may have voted a certain way or acts a certain way or talks a certain way or thinks a certain way. Because ultimately when that stops working, because clearly it didn't work out last night because that dude's going to jail for a long fucking time, they're going to start going after the general public. And I don't know at what degree. But ultimately, when they start doing that, you're going to find that there's going to be much more large groupings together of things. Now, that's what you don't want. You want individuality on both sides. People doing their own thing, not harming anybody. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself, that kind of thing. Treat people the way you'd want to be treated. But at the end of the day, if you keep poking and prodding, it's, for example, like, perfect example is if you have, like, say a man's daughter or son is walking down the street and he gets attacked or berated or something like that by some psycho, and if the neighborhood finds out about it and knows who this person is, you now have a grouping, and a mob mentality is very, very dangerous. And these people need to realize that. Just painting your hair green and, you know, accusing somebody of being a fascist and giving that every reason to use force or violence against them, that shit's going to run out real quick. It's going to run out real quick. You think you can... They've already decided that just voting is not enough. They want to take over your neighborhoods. They want you to bow to their will and say things that you, no, it's just not going to work like that. I want you ultimately from this little rant right here to know your rights, know your constitutional rights, know when it's time to leave an area, and know when it's time to defend yourself and move on with your day. You do not, as an individual, bow to no one. You have responsibilities of your own. You have kids at home. You have a mouth to feed. You have bills to pay. You've got a job you own. You've got things that you need to do. And there should be nobody else out there in this world who can tell you what to say and how to think and what to do. If somebody gets in your way ultimately and is starting to impede in your direction in life, fuck them. Whatever legally necessary to remove them from your existence is perfectly justified. All right? Anybody, first of all, my thoughts is if anybody assaults you in any way, shape, or form, you go down the rabbit hole and you take them straight to hell. You press full charges, you go get a fucking lawyer, you sue the shit out of them, you bury them, you sue everything that is possible. You let them know that if you fuck with me in any way, shape, or form, you put them in a hole and you fucking bury them there. So ultimately, this thing can be brought to a halt, because quite frankly, there needs to be more examples of people who do stupid shit paying severe consequences for their dumb actions, because I'm seeing it more and more. And this is the only place I'm going to talk about it. And quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. I've had people call me all kinds of things. And you know what? Fuck them. I don't care. I don't care, because some of it's probably just bots. They're just bots or rage baiters, and quite frankly, I'll just make fun of their moms, or I'll just tell them tell my mom I said hi, tell your mom I said hi, or something like that. I don't care. I'm gonna do this for 45 minutes to an hour every single week. I'm gonna quietly move about my day. I'm very quiet in theaters. I'm very quiet in restaurants. I'm very quiet on the streets. I'm kind of just minding my own business. But it's easy to turn me red when it comes to people just being complete fucking cunts, just because they have nothing else to do. And I've seen two beautiful states that I'm neighbored to just turning into absolute shit. And I want nothing to do with them. And there's a lot of great people in these states, and they're very beautiful states, but they've just been ruined by such shitbags, politicians and civilians alike. And it really hurts me, because I don't, all I know is it's a couple votes here, there, or some exceptions to the rule, and it all goes downhill very quickly. I would love for there to be ultimately some relaxation of all this, but I just don't feel like it's going that route. I think the only thing holding us together right now is the Constitution and the Supreme Court. I think ultimately, if that moves one way or another, we're in for a world of hurt. But for now, the Constitution's still intact. Your state's laws are still intact. Follow them, learn them, and know how they can be applied. Because quite frankly, you shouldn't be walking around in fear. You shouldn't be walking around with your head down. You should be walking around trying to enjoy yourself and your life to the best of your abilities. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. Know your rights and know how to execute them when necessary, okay? If you have any other questions or concerns, hit me up on my website, positivesarcasm.com. You can email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. Yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram at positive_sarcasm. If you're just going to talk shit and call me a fascist, I'll probably just block you, because quite frankly, fuck you, you're worthless. Like, subscribe, share, donate, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. And you can email me directly. You can hit this podcast up anywhere podcasts are downloadable and streamable. YouTube, Rumble, also on Substack, things like that. So, in the meantime, I got a bag to pack. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And I'll talk to you all next week when I get back. Recorded here in the Spare Parts Studio for entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation. I hope I get a tan.